Hey y'all, it's K-Bird Tweets, and this is Peace, Love, and Baseball. Welcome into Peace, Love, and Baseball. I am your host, Kelsey Bird, also known as K-Bird Tweets. You can find me there on Twitter at K-Bird Tweets. That is K-B-U-R-D Tweets. You can follow Peace, Love, and Baseball on our Facebook page. You can follow us on Instagram at peace.love.baseball. And hey, if you are watching on YouTube, on the K-Bird Tweets YouTube channel, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. Really helps the algorithm push it out to other people that might enjoy it. If you are listening wherever you get your podcast, give it a rating, a 5-star review if you are enjoying it. And especially if you're enjoying it, why not share it with a friend? All that good stuff. I super appreciate it and appreciate you for being here and tuning in to our episode during All-Star Week. It is All-Star Week. So a very happy All-Star break to you and yours. This episode will actually come out on the Tuesday. That is the day of the 2024 All-Star Game at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. I am so excited to see the red carpet show, the best dressed All-Stars and fun with their families, home run derby action, the All-Star celebrity softball game. We're actually going to wrap up today talking a bit about that, and as well as sharing your All-Star celebrity softball game wish list of celebrities that we'd like to see play. We have some room for improvement with the All-Star celebrity softball game right now, so we'll get to that. But the All-Star game itself is always a lot of fun. I appreciate the spectacle of it all. It is ebbed and flowed with, if it's meant something, if it's just for exhibition over the years. And while, of course, there's plenty of ways to critique how it could be done better, I love that it's a thing, and I'm always looking forward to it. So, you know that we are big on vibes here at Peace, Love, and Baseball. So this week, we want to give some love and highlight the vibes all-stars, as well as the all-stars that were elected to the MLB All-Star Game, because you know that I truly believe the guys who bring the best vibes are as impactful to their teams, albeit in different ways, than the guys with the most impressive stat lines. So just as impressive. I forgot to mention, I'm wearing you can see if you're watching on the YouTube, my Texas Marcus Semien and Corey Seager shirt today in celebration. So I've got some appropriate attire on. I also want to know what you think about, before we get into this, what you think about the All-Star jerseys this year, because I actually got to see them in person. I went to my first Phillies game at Citizens Bank Park this past week, and I saw them in person, and I don't know. I guess they were maybe like a little bit better in person. I like the National League ones, I think, better than the American League ones, but I don't know. I've just heard like so many better ideas from fans or people that cover the game about what the All-Star jerseys could be like. And yeah, I just think they've been a little off the last couple of years. The last like really good ones that I would have bought was like the white ones with the gold lettering. And I've seen a lot of people who have those, and those are sick. But anyway, let's get back to our topic today, which is all about the vibes, guys. The all vibes all-star teams. These selections to these two teams in the American League and the National League solely based on vibes. I think you will notice that a lot of these players, even if they are not the most impressive in terms of their stats, and some of them are and some of them aren't. I did not exclude guys who also happen to be statistically great. But some of them are, you know, uh, impactful in different ways. But the thing that is the through line here that you're going to notice is that the teams that have the best vibes are leading to their success. Like they might not be the most black and white competitive teams, but they're having success because of the vibes. And those teams have the most players on this list. I did, however, make sure, this is what I was trying to make sure I said, that there is a representative from each team. But you will notice that, like, the ones, where there are more like on the actual all-star team, it's like the Phillies and the Dodgers, who are also the teams that have the best records and the highest payrolls. But these are the teams, kind of the like sneaky successful teams. How are they being sneaky successful? I think it's the vibes. Okay, let's get into the rosters here. So we're going to start with the American League roster. We've got a starter and a reserve for each position. So your starting first baseman for the American League All Vibes All-Star team is Josh Naylor of the Cleveland Guardians, an all-star in his own right. I'm also going to share with you a fun fact that has absolutely nothing to do with the stat line for each of these players, just to kind of give you a glimpse into the vibes that they bring. And I could go on and on about a number of these guys. Some of them I know more about than others, but yeah, we're just kind of scratching the surface, right? You don't need me talking at you all day, maybe just for the next, half hour or so for your entertainment. So Josh Naylor is the oldest of three brothers, which you might have known. They are all professional baseball players. Bo Naylor is actually on the same team as him. They are playing with the Guardians both this year. And Miles Naylor, the youngest brother, is in the Oakland A's organization. I had to mention this because I'm the oldest of three children, and I just think oldest kids, especially oldest of threes, we just really know how to bring the vibes. Josh Naylor is also engaged to a singer-songwriter. So, that just tells me that he appreciates art, and it's no question that he's a vibes guy for the Cleveland Guardians, a team that has a lot of vibes, guys. The reserve for the American League first baseman is Vladdy G. Again, another guy who is an all-star on paper, has been an all-star now multiple times in his career, but he is an all vibes all-star too. I know that there's, I don't know, some mixed thoughts on Vladdy G, and obviously like his dad was huge in the baseball world, and so that in itself is so much to live up to. And I think he does a pretty good job of it given the expectations that are put on him, just the way that he carries himself overall. I remember seeing an interview with him years ago where he was talking about how he wants to learn better English, and he is, actively trying to learn English as quickly as he can to talk to fans. And that was like the number one reason that he wanted to learn better English. I thought that was really cool. And his godfather is Pedro Martinez. The guy's got vibes. I just like the energy that he brings overall, like his aura. I know it's like a big thing we're talking about right now. The kids are talking about. I don't really get the context in which it's being used currently. I guess I'm too old or really just not cool enough, actually. I don't care. I'm still talking about vibes, and vibes, aura, I think they're kind of the same. Vladdy G's got it. Okay, second base, all vibes, American League All-Star is another actual all-star, Jose Altuve. Here's the thing about Jose Altuve. You probably know that he's a little guy. He is 5'6" tall. That is as tall as I am. And he's a 6-time All-Star. I think he's 7-time now. He's also highly involved in charitable efforts. You may or may not know that about him. He's just like very involved in the community, just all around super good guy and great teammate. And yeah, he obviously has never let his size hold him back. And I'm sure it's something that he got teased about and was even, definitely a barrier that people challenged the whole time that he was on the road to finding amazing, incredible success in the major leagues. Our reserve second baseman is none other than my guy right here, Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. This guy, the vibes that he brings are like grinding vibes. He knows how to grind. He leads by example. He seems to be a rather quiet guy, but in 2023, he led the league for a second time in plate appearances after playing all 162 games, and he set the single season, which would be like the regular season and the postseason combined, record in MLB history for plate appearances with 835 total plate appearances. He's just out there every day. Again, everybody needs kind of like that strong, silent type who is just going to lead by the way he goes about his business. And you hear players talking about that all the time and how impactful that is for him. So there's our Marcus Semien. Let's move on to shortstop on the All Vibes All-Star list. Okay, eventually we're going to get to a guy who's like not actually on the real All-Star roster, but not yet. Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. Listen, this guy, his fan interaction and the energy that he brings to his team and the city are infectious. I am thrilled that the Kansas City Royals have a guy like this who they can invest in long term, and he feels obviously the same way. His dad was a big league pitcher. His uncle was actually a bullpen catcher for the Rangers organization, and he became a scout in the Blue Jays org. And he was actually recently hired, his uncle, in the Orioles scouting department. So he's got family in the business. Again, a lot of pressure, but I think having family in the business on both the like business kind of like scouting side of it, along with a dad who knows the pressure and knows the ropes of the big leagues, he just has, you know, a different perspective on it. And you can tell in the way that he carries himself and just the respect that he seems to have for the game and everyone in the game, and the way that he interacts with the fans is truly awesome. He knows what his ability and his contract represents for the Royals and their fan base, and he wears it very well. Our reserve shortstop is Bo Bichette of the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay, let me tell you, one of the first things that comes up when you Google Bo Bichette is, what shampoo does Bo Bichette use? Let me know if this happens for you, because I know sometimes when you like Google things, the internet, you know, caters itself to us specifically. When I Googled Bo Bichette, you know, you Google something and then it shows you like questions that are related to what you Googled. The very first thing that came up when I Googled Bo Bichette was, what shampoo does Bo Bichette use? And is this a question I've asked myself many times? Absolutely. So I'm glad that I got to find the answer today. The answer can actually be found in a 2017 interview that he gave to MILBnews.com when he was in the minor league system. He said, quote, "Everyone thinks I take a good amount of time on my hair, but I really just roll out of bed and roll with it." This is so classic. Ugh. Got my husband also has like a beautiful head of hair. It's not long, but like he just has really, really great hair. And yeah, it's one of those guys that just like wakes up and rolls with it. Anyway, he says, "I use mane and tail shampoo and conditioner." So I don't know what that is. I hope it's like not actually a horse shampoo because it sounds like it. But like, would you be surprised? I wouldn't. You know, it's some like drugstore shampoo that costs $7 that I'm absolutely going to try now. Also with Bo Bichette, it runs in the family. His dad and his brother are accomplished Major League Baseball players. And his dad actually, I read an interview where his dad actually wanted him to play tennis instead of baseball. And he was quoted saying something about how, like, in tennis, you can make your own lineup. Like, basically, the more individual sport was what he wanted him to get into because there was less politics involved in it that could, like, affect you as the individual. I thought that was really interesting. But obviously, despite that, like, Bo got to make his own decision, which also shows you that he certainly wasn't pressured into playing baseball, and he has a genuine love of the game. And I think you see that. It was last All-Star game, I believe he did some like on the field reporting during the home run derby for them. And he's bilingual. So he was kind of acting as a translator for mainstream media and the players, and did some cool on the field stuff with that. So just his willingness, I'm not gonna say he was super good at it because he wasn't like great at it, but his willingness to do it, like he's an elite baseball player. I don't expect him to also be good in the media. You know, like when guys are not good at giving interviews, or he was like being a host, I have no expectation of that from them. It's really cool when they are, but you have to recognize that as a completely separate skill set. And I just thought it was cool that he was like down to give it a go and be a part of it. It definitely added something to the experience and allowed us to get to know him and the other players on a different level. Let's move on to third base for the All Vibes All-Star team. Our starter, again, another actual All-Star, Jose Ramirez brings the vibes, another Cleveland Guardians guy. In an interview for ESPN.com, former teammate of Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, also a great vibes guy, said that if he were the owner of a team and given the opportunity to sign any player in the sport, he would sign Jose Ramirez due to his baseball instincts and his dedication. And I think you see that, like, he is just this solid guy who is holding down this young and kind of revolving Cleveland Guardians team. He is unfazed in his own performance by everything that's going on around him, and he's allowing a lot of those other guys to find themselves and have that same kind of grounding just by his presence. And yeah, how can you not love him? Again, I gotta quit going on about each of these guys a little too much. Our reserve third baseman is Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, I think, have a lot of vibes, guys, that I don't necessarily know about. So, Twins fans, if you are listening, I want you to tell me about your best vibes, guys, on your team, because I'm not super dialed in to the individuals on the Twins team, but I see pictures of the team as a whole. And like, they've definitely got something going on. They're like rally sausage thing. Like, the vibes are real in Minnesota. So let me in on it. Anyway, Royce Lewis, both of his parents were collegiate athletes. He just got engaged in the past year, and he just seems like a real down to earth guy. I know there's been challenges of him staying healthy and staying on the field, but the potential is insane, and he seems like he's just like a very real dude. Right field for all vibes all-star team is another guy who I'm actually really happy to see was elected to the all-star team this year, and that is the Boston Red Sox Jarren Duran, who is becoming a very popular player, especially with younger fans. I am hearing more and more that younger baseball fans are really drawn to him, which is amazing, and it's amazing in itself. That he is great for the game for that reason alone, right? He went from one of the worst players in the league to being now what people are calling him an underrated superstar. And he has also been extremely open about his mental health struggles in a way that is not attention seeking, but just forthcoming and honest. I think there's ways that people go about those things that are not that the intent is to be attention seeking, but it can come off that way. Like, he was just so genuine about it that there's nothing that comes off as anything other than like him just being very vulnerable in the public eye. And that's very commendable and very cool to see. And he's just a guy that it's amazing to see him having the success that he is, because he brings an amazing energy to his team and has an openness that is very necessary for this day and age, and especially for younger people to be seeing. So love that for him. Our reserve all-star right fielder is Richie Palacios of the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm a big Richie P girl. You know, he was with my St. Louis Cardinals last year, but this guy's smile could light up a whole ballpark. He just brings the vibes and lights up the dugout or the field, wherever he's at. He is a true team player in every sense. And in doing that, he keeping his head down, doing whatever he can to impact the outcome of the game for his team. He has outperformed expectations on the field by just showing up every day with the best attitude and the commitment to being a team player. And you love to see any success for those kinds of guys, even without the success. And when he's having down days and down times, he's bringing the vibes. And definitely not a guy you're going to see on the all-star team, the actual all-star team. So we want to put him on our all vibes team because he's doing the things and he's worth watching and wanting on your team. Our center field all vibes guy is none other than Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. I knew that J-Rod was a vibes guy. Like, he, again, just has a great smile. Like, he's very good with the media. He just has like the sweetest, most fun demeanor. What I didn't know was that Julio Rodriguez hosted a podcast that was literally called Vibin' with J-Rod. where he interviewed Mariners prospects. He also has tons of content on his personal YouTube channel, which is just great for the game. Obviously, great for his personal brand, but there's not a lot of players that do that. And again, he does it in a way that's not like showy or egocentric, but just like, I want to let you in on my life and this very unique experience that I'm having that brings you closer to me and to this game that we love by giving you a peek inside of what's going on. He has such a fun and bright personality that he shares on and off the field and clearly in the clubhouse and in his presence with the media. I also heard on one of the episodes of Vibin' with J-Rod that I listened to where he was describing the eye black that he wears as his war paint, and I thought that was really fun too. So that just gives you a little peek inside of his mindset. Our reserve all vibes center fielder is Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles. Here's our Orioles rep, another team who is so high on vibes and like collectively brings the vibes. Cedric Mullins was the guy that I could pick out of the group that, like, him as an individual, though, brings the vibes just by himself. He gave a fun interview a couple years ago to the Baltimore Sun about his love of anime and how it inspired him as a kid. So that was, again, just anything like personal that has nothing to do with the game that players are willing to share, I think is really cool. And he is another guy who went from struggling under the radar minor league player to MLB All-Star, like actually elected to the All-Star team in a matter of years. He's got the work ethic and the perseverance that is there. And that is something that I think is really a similar theme you're going to see for all of these guys is they may not have the most raw talent, but they are the guys who are the most dialed in, whether for their love of the game or from their commitment to just getting the most out of the opportunity that they've been given. He is now, Cedric Mullins is a great leader of a young Orioles team. He seems like a great go-between for all of those rookies that they have and the veterans and everybody in between. So that's why he's our Orioles rep. Let's move on to left field. Our all-vibes starter in left field for the American League is Taylor Ward of the Los Angeles Angels. He had an offensive breakout in 2022 that was many years in the making. Some thought we may never see. So another guy who just really kept his head down and kept at it, didn't let the haters get too loud. And the Angels' success over the past couple of seasons, even with Shohei Ohtani, like the Angels did not necessarily come and go with Shohei. They did come and go with Taylor Ward's success and his health when he's been healthy and on the field. So I think you can see even with that, if you followed those two timelines of how impactful he is when he is healthy and he's on the field, whether it's, in the numbers that he's putting up or just the energy and leadership that he brings to the team. Our reserve all vibes left fielder is none other than Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, there are some guys with some big personalities that you are not going to hear on today's list. And I wanted to take Randy Arozarena, use him as an opportunity to kind of point out the difference between these guys who have big personalities. I'm not going to call any of them out. But like, I wouldn't necessarily say they bring the vibes or like their vibe is like it's not good vibes. We're looking for good vibes on the all vibes all-star team, right? And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people who have different reads on this, and you might be right because they might be on your team. And if you're watching your team, you're more dialed into your team, whereas like I'm more dialed into the St. Louis Cardinals because they're my team. But I do consume all of baseball, and I have the reason that I really consider myself the vibes authority is because I do have this weird like intuition, not just because I'm a woman. It's just like it's something that I have. Guys, my gut is really strong, so I consider myself to be the vibes authority of Major League Baseball. Okay, it's fine. You're listening to this. You're on board. So let's get back to Randy Arozarena. He has he is a big character, right? He has serious swag, but he toes the line of confidence and cocky very well. I think he is like his toe is like almost over the line. And some things that he does could be interpreted as cocky, but he stays on the right side of it. Just when you think he's going to trip and fall over the edge, you're like, Oh, no, man. Like, I like him. He's a dude. Yeah. So, some fun things that you may or may not know about Randy Rosarena is he has been known to do things like steal teammates' boots. I think this obviously started somewhere where like he stole, I'm sure there was a specific instance and you may have heard about it where he stole a teammate's cowboy boots. I'm like vaguely remembering this, but he's done it multiple times now because he did it and it was a good luck charm. He like hit a big home run. And so he's done it other times, stealing teammates' boots. How many of Randy Rosarena's teammates wear cowboy boots? Does it have to be cowboy boots? I'm not sure. He's also participated in some epic dance battles with his teammates, that kind of stuff. Like, I just want to see it. I'm here for it. If you are willing to have a dance battle as a Major League Baseball player, you are high on vibes, and I absolutely love it. Randy also defected from Cuba when he was 20 years old so that he could better provide for his family after his father passed away. He survived an 8-hour boat ride to Mexico, which is where he ultimately launched his Major League Baseball career. So he is now a Mexican citizen, and he played for Team Mexico in the WBC, despite being born and raised in Cuba. But he very much identifies with Mexico and their culture. And it seems like they've really embraced him, and the pride that he had playing in the World Baseball Classic for them was really fun and really cool to see. And you see how much that like culture and his family means to him. I think that's something that makes him more of like a grounded person that you can connect with rather than just like some dude who's out there showing off, you know? Let's get to the catchers because catchers are maybe like the highest vibes guys on a team in general. There are like the most vibey catchers, but the king of the vibing catchers has to be none other than Salvador Perez. He is our starter, Salvi Perez of the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have a few guys on here, don't they? They're one of those sneaky teams that's not just making it on money and contracts and stats, but vibes. Producer June has joined us because I do believe that Salvi Perez is one of her favorite players as well. I didn't know this about Salvi. Like, obviously, he has a super fun personality. If you followed him at all on social media, like, he's had all kinds of fun stuff that he's put out there. I think, like, him and Lorenzo Cain did a series of videos or something on social media of just like really fun stuff a couple years back. But he actually took his oath for American citizenship at Royals Fan Fest in 2020. I thought that was super neat that he, let the Royals fan be a part of that big moment for him and his family. And in a game near the end of the 2013 season, one of his teammates sprayed Salvador Perez with Victoria's Secret women's perfume and told him that he would get 4 hits. So it was like a fun pregame prediction just to like shake things up and make it interesting. Well, this prediction actually came true. He did get 4 hits wearing his Victoria's Secret's perfume. So, as one does as a baseball player, highly superstitious, all of us, he continued to wear this perfume during the games as a good luck charm. He ultimately switched to 212 VIP Cologne by Carolina Herrera in 2014. So he wore the Victoria's Secret perfume for the rest of 2013 and then was like, maybe I can get like a bro version of this to wear instead. So Salvi smells good all the time too. Salvi is also known for the Salvi Splash, for his Gatorade showers that he gives to teammates after wins or exciting moments. He's that guy. He's your hype guy too. The reserve all vibes catcher is none other than my dear Andrew Kisner of the Texas Rangers, formerly of the St. Louis Cardinals, which is why I am familiar and love him and want to draw your attention to him today. He was named the team captain actually by his teammates for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2023, which, as you know, was not a great season for the St. Louis Cardinals, but Kiz really stepped up and provided leadership, especially in the absence of Yadier Molina. And Yadier Molina surely had a say in handing things down to Andrew Kisner and how that all went down. But the Cardinals staff praised him constantly for leading by example and his work ethic. He's also a guy who's just always smiling. He's always so good with the media. And he's one of the only like recent Cardinals players who is always up for fun segments for fan engagement. And I really appreciate that because all of baseball teams need to have more fun, but especially the Cardinals. They just need to allow their guys to have more fun. And I feel like Andrew Kisner kind of stepped up and did that for us. And now he's gone. So Anyway, all vibes all the time. We're going to have an all vibes starting pitcher, and this one I think might throw you for a loop. My starting pitcher is Marcus Stroman of the New York Yankees. He is another guy who kind of goes in that Randy Arozarena circle that I was talking about, of like guys who just like they toe the line. There's something about him that I truly believe at the heart of him is earnest. And here's a couple things that I found out about Marcus Stroman that might interest you. Stroman has several tattoos. He has one that is a large tribute on his left shoulder to his grandmother, who would regularly attend his high school games, and she passed away while he was attending Duke University playing baseball. He also just openly shares what all of his tattoos are and what they mean, which again, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they all have a meaning to him and that he is so open with them and likes to talk about it. On January 9th of 2015, Stroman completed the legal process for trademarking, quote, height doesn't measure heart, the HDMH, which is his brand now. Since mid 2015, he has produced caps with New Era that feature his trademarks. He has also partnered with Nike, Jordan Brand, BioSteel, and Rogers to create apparel featuring the HDMH logo. So height doesn't measure heart is, his brand because he's a short pitcher. And if you Google Marcus Stroman height right now, it's going to tell you he's 5'9". But Stroman stated in December of 2016 that he measured exactly 7 feet, 7.25 inches for a physical examination for Nike. That's crazy that he is a pitcher in Major League Baseball. I mean, there must be shorter ones because I didn't find anything saying like he's the shortest by any means. But like I said, that's barely taller than I am. That's barely taller than Jose Altuve. But he's a pitcher. Interesting. Marcus Stroman is also an avid wine enthusiast, which you might not expect, and he has a wine cellar in his home in Tampa. I don't know, there's something about that guy that's just like very genuine to me. This is another guy who not everybody reads this way as our reserve starting pitcher, but that is Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty was adopted at 3 weeks old. He was raised by a single mom, and he has an amazing, beautiful relationship with her that he openly shares with us as fans, and love to see that play out at the ballpark. So that's something for me that just creates a soft spot for Jack Flaherty right off the bat. But Flaherty also actively supports social justice causes that are important to him, whether or not you agree with his stance on anything. I mean, again, like, I don't think social justice things are like politically driven, but a lot of people do. So whatever, whether you agree with him or not, like the fact that he does it in a way that I think is, overall pretty respectful, especially as he's gotten older, he's gotten better about it. And I think it's cool that he's not afraid to just be true to what is important to him. He has had many challenges and tough luck with injuries after a lot of hype. So there was a lot of hype around him, a lot of promise, a lot of potential. He has the pedigree, but he's had many physical challenges in the last few years. And he has done great work on the mental side of the game to work through it and continue to pursue his highest potential. And again, just not really let the haters get to him and chase him away from that highest potential. So I think that's something to really be admired. And him and Adam Wainwright had a really close relationship on the Cardinals. And I think that also speaks to why I feel like he's a good vibes guy. Again, I know this might be a hot take, but if I'm being honest with you, I had a hard time with American League starting pitchers. I know Garrett Cole is a vibes guy. I feel like he was a little too predictable. And I thought Stroman was, I picked Stroman, so that's why I didn't go Garrett Cole. But let me know, who's your American League vibes guy starting pitcher? Let's talk about relief pitchers real quick. We've got our starting relief pitcher, which I understand doesn't make sense, but our highest on vibes relief pitcher in the American League, John Brebbia. He's our Chicago White Sox rep. He comes in every season clean shaven, and he does not shave his beard until the end of the season. So he ends up looking crazy different than his headshot that is up on the board that you'll see at the stadium by, 2 months into the season, let alone 6 months into the season. He's such a funny guy. He is not afraid to be goofy. He has a very dry sense of humor. and he shares it both with his teammates and with the media. If you have never seen him hand out roses on Valentine's Day, he does that every year. I hope it's something that he still does. He's just given so many, I mean, any interview he's ever given, just like Google it and listen to him talk. He's actually my dream co-host. So John Brebbia, if you are listening, when you are ready to retire from baseball and the All Vibes All-Star team, please come co-host a podcast with me, because I just think we'd be a dream team. Our reserve relief pitcher is our Oakland A's representative. We've actually got one of two Oakland A's representatives, TJ McFarland. This is a guy who you would never see on any all-star team, probably ever. I mean, I would love to be wrong about that, but let me tell you about TJ McFarland, who is currently with the Oakland A's organization. He does an amazing Harry Carey impression, and he's done it on camera for the media on baseball networks. He seems like the most fun, genuine, normal guy in baseball. Like, truly, that is what I think I love most about TJ McFarland. He also has the cutest little family ever. His little boy is so adorable. He's a huge fan of the TV show The Office, and he dressed his baby son up like Dwight for Halloween a year or two ago. I don't know. It's on his Instagram. He's a great follow. Go check him out. That's why he's on the All Vibes team. He's definitely a very fun teammate, and there's been, coverage documenting that. So look into TJ McFarland if you're interested. Our DH to round out the All Vibes American League team. First choice has got to be, I don't care if he's on a major league roster or not, we're putting him in. Joey Votto, baby. He's the king of vibes. I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to make a laundry list. I'm not going to buy you into it. Follow him on social media if you don't already know. Our reserve DH is Oakland A's Brent Rooker. He's having great success and leading a team of very young and green players with all the noise that is currently surrounding the Oakland A's. That in itself is very impressive. And I don't know a ton about you, Brent Rooker, but I would love to know more. And again, he just reads as a dude. I feel the vibes. They're good. Let's move on to the National League team, because we got to go through them all here. And we're going to hit it off hard with an all-star on both accords, whether it's stats or vibes. And that is our first baseman, Bryce Harper. The man is simply dripping with vibes. He is BFF with the Fanatic, the most elite mascot in all of sports. He did the soccer slide celebration at the MLB in London game. He shops at the same Trader Joe's that I do. What more can I say? I don't need to convince you of this. We all agree, Bryce Harper, king of first base vibes. The prince of first base vibes, though, in the National League is going to be none other than Rowdy Tellez, our Pittsburgh Pirates representative. This guy, he has his teammates back. He really has their backs, even with his wickedly clever, dry sense of humor. So if you've heard one interview with Rowdy Tellez, I need you to hear some more. I need you to get to know him, because he's hilarious and he's very genuine and very, very kind. He openly shares how important team culture and the support of his teammates is. And he's a great interview. If you have not seen an interview with him, or if you've seen one and been like, what's up with that dude? Or you've, heard a one-off quote or something, go watch a full-length interview of him on Foul Territory, like any one of the ones that he's done. He's awesome. I absolutely love him. And again, truly dripping with vibes. Our second base all vibes starter for the National League is an all-star statistically as well, Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Did you know vibes marry into the family? Because Ketel Marte is married to Vladdy G's cousin, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s cousin. And Ketel Marte also does a lot of charity work to give back to his home country in the Dominican Republic. He has amazing energy. If I had to pick one player who I think embodies grit in the major leagues right now, it's probably him, on and off the field. And it's truly contagious. He is our second base vibes starter. Reserve here has got to be Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves. Let me tell you something about Ozzie Albies. He speaks 4 languages. I think this was at the All-Star game last year, but he's done it multiple times other than that. He acts as an interpreter, even with the media, for his fellow teammates. He's BFF with Ronald Acuna Jr., and there's so many stories of how they bring the energy to their team and how impactful Albies has actually been to Ronnie Jr. and his success. He's like the vibes behind Ronnie Jr., who also has great vibes himself. But I feel like Ozzy, he really, like, he levels up the guys with the most impeccable talent with his vibes, and also great talent. Love it. Shortstop starter, all vibes all the time. I gotta go with my guy, Mason Wynn from the Cardinals. I've got to. You may not know that Mason Wynn was a two-way player. So he has an insane arm. And he is one of those guys. Here's the thing about Mason Wynn. Here's the thing about Mason Wynn and his vibes. I'm not sure I'm going to articulate this super well, but I'm going to try to. He is one of those guys that people expect to be a certain way. You look at him and you like expect him to be a certain way. And I say this because I have heard publications talk about him or other media talk about him that have not consumed a lot, like they haven't consumed a lot of content around him, or like they don't know him super well, like I obviously do. But you know what I mean? And they take, again, like a one-off quote and create a narrative about him based on like how he looks and how he carries himself, I guess. I don't know. There's a number of things that contribute to it. He's also super young, but he is not like that at all. He is not like that image that people are create of him at all. And he also doesn't let it phase him in the least. He is always so well-spoken and respectful. He's a great representation of confidence without cockiness for younger players and for kids. And I absolutely love that about him. He's just holding his own and carrying the struggling Cardinals offense and staying so humble while doing it and just being, another guy on the team. Amazing. Our reserve vibes shortstop is Ha-Seong Kim. Ha-Seong Kim of the San Diego Padres. Absolute superstar status in Korea, you guys. Like, we don't even know. But again, he is so humble. He's willing to do whatever is needed for his team. He'll play this position. He'll play that position. He'll play every day. He'll play some days. He'll do whatever, even though, like, he's a freaking superstar. Has all the accolades and, like, is the equivalent of, I guess, like, Bryce Harper is here in Korea. He's stayed so versatile. He just slides under the radar, I feel like, as one of the most impressive or at least impactful players in the sport for the last few seasons. And that's why he's our all vibes shortstop reserve. Third base. Starter for vibes at third base is, it is. If you listen to this podcast, I'm going with Jake Burger of the Miami Marlins, baby. Jake Burger is an amazing family man. His wife and his son are the cutest. He has also worked through incredible hurdles of injury to get back into the big leagues. I'm going to give you just a little bit about his journey that you can find more about on the MLBPA Players Association page, actually. This is directly from the page. With hard work and introspection and support from loved ones, Berger overcame depression, anxiety, and the 2020 pandemic-related shutdown to make his big league debut in July. This is after he had a number of injuries. There's a lot more about all the background of that, but he hit 263 and 38 at-bats for the White Sox and earned praise for his perseverance and fortitude. He even remade his body, losing 40 pounds during the COVID shutdown in 2020. Now, Berger is using his visibility as an athlete to push for mental health awareness. He is launching a website, which is jakeberger30.com, and plans to spread his message across a range of platforms. His initiative, which he's calling Berger Bombs, and BOMBS is an acronym, is rooted in 5 behavioral pillars that he's incorporated into his daily life. So BOMBS spells out B, be open, O, open a book, M, meditate, B, break a sweat, S, set a routine. He also accredits so much of his comeback from his injury to the support of his mom and his sister. His sister Ellie is actually the head tennis coach at Missouri State. Again, just a super inspirational guy, like seems so humble and open to sharing his story to benefit other people and to give back. And he's like he might be like Captain Vibes for me right now. Our reserve third baseman, this one might come as a surprise to you as well, and it surprises me. I'm surprising myself, but I had to pick actual all-star this year, Alec Boehm of the Philadelphia Phillies. Listen, Alec Boehm has changed my mind about him. I'm coming around. He's not like my favorite Philly by any means, but listen, I wrote a story in my mind about him when it came out. Like I think it was in 2022 that he was really struggling, and he got caught on a mic saying that like he hates Philadelphia, or he might even, I think he just said he hates Philadelphia. It wasn't specific to the fans, but like yeah, it was not great. He is very like loud and kind of over, I don't want to say over emotional, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. But he seems to have really grown up, and he's bettered his attitude. He's controlling his emotions to set a better example for his teammates, but I think his teammates have actually probably been the ones that have set that example for him. And ultimately, what I came around to was like, who doesn't love a passionate guy? His passion is part of what makes him a vibes guy. He also has a very active charitable foundation that supports young athletes, medical research, and homelessness. So we love that. Love your passion on and off the field. Alec Boehm. Right fielder, all vibes. Our starter for the National League is Starling Marte of the New York Mets. Man, there's so much to know about Starling Marte, and I would love to know even more. But he is known to be a clubhouse guy who truly loves to play the game. He has fun with it. He doesn't take things too seriously, which keeps things lighthearted and fun for his teammates. I read an interview that Andrew McCutchen did a number of years ago about his former teammate Starling Marte that really painted that picture. Another thing that I had no idea about him, he's just a guy who like reads vibes to me. But Marte lost his wife to a heart attack. She was 32 years old at the beginning of 2020. And during that time, he was very openly vulnerable. He used his love for the game to overcome, I mean, as much as you possibly can, such a horrible tragedy and the difficulty of what he was going through, which is just very inspirational and amazing that he's still out there doing it and being that same vibes guy that he has been after going through, things that most of us can only even imagine. Our reserve vibes right fielder for the National League is Lane Thomas, our Washington Nationals representative. Did you know that Lane Thomas, he co-owns a home remodeling business with his sister? I think that's cool. Family business guy. Good relationship with his sister, it seems. We like it. Lane Thomas was one of those guys that like didn't have a clear, direct, or linear path to success, but he has always remained a positive force on the field. He stayed consistent to get playing time and to ultimately find success at the plate. Love that for him. He's just a guy, again, that exudes vibes when he's on the field. Our center fielder, starting center fielder for vibes, is a guy that I have just come around on like more than anything. And it's just, don't judge a book by its cover, Kelsey. I'm mad that I did. Brandon Marsh of the Philadelphia Phillies. I hate to say it. I think Brandon Marsh, his hair is really gross, and I held it against him. I don't love his look. I just don't love it. And I took zero interest in him as a person and a player because of that. But let me tell you, I have done a full 180 on my initial judging Brandon Marsh by his cover, because he is the most chill and happy guy ever. He is the guy you want, I think, in any scenario. I read an interview that he gave to MLB.com in 2023, and he is quoted saying, "We've got to be nice to ourselves out here. We've got to have fun, smile, be energetic. It's a blessing to wake up every day, throw on a pair of shorts, a really weird t-shirt, a cool pair of shoes, and come to the field and play baseball every day." It's hard to beat that, in my opinion. So he's one of those guys that, again, is just like so down to earth. He knows how lucky he is. He appreciates life, the opportunity that he's been given, and is just making the most of it every day. In this article that was a feature on him on MLB.com, every single teammate, when asked, they had like literally like at least 10 of them, maybe more, teammates with direct quotes about Brandon Marsh, how he's always in a good mood. He's always fun loving and making other people happy. And in the same article, they must have been like following him around, doing a highlight on him. But at spring training in 2023, a woman stopped to tell him about a sick family member. She asked Marsh if he would record a video for her sick family member. He did it. The woman got emotional. Marsh hugged her. And when they asked him about it, he said, I wanted to let her know that we're here for her. If the tables were turned, I'd want someone there for me as well. Empathetic. He's real. That's a real man. One who can be empathetic that way. I feel like it's a part of our duty as baseball players to show love and give back to the fans. When we have the time, it's fun to catch up with people who you'd have no idea that you'd ever meet. Just appreciation for humanity. Brandon Marsh is like my new favorite freaking player. I think I gotta rep Marsh is gonna be my Phillies representative now that I live so close. Okay. Our reserve vibes center fielder is none other than Harrison Bader of the New York Mets. You know, I'm a Hey Bay fan. I think he's another one of those guys, kind of again, Randy Rosarena kind of toes the line of like, maybe like kind of comes off as cocky, but no, he plays with reckless abandon in center field. He's clearly a guy who just loves to play the game. He has fit in with every team that he's been on. He seems like each of the teams that he was started on the Cardinals, he went to the Yankees, he popped over to the Reds, he's now with the Mets, and it seems like he's just vibed. He's made it work by just being himself on very different groups of people, very different team cultures. He also wears pink crop tops and whatever the hell else he wants, and he does not give a single care in the world what anyone else thinks about it. And personally, I love that about you, Harrison Bader. Moving on to left field, our vibe starter is a home run derby guy, an all-star in his own right. An all vibes all-star for sure. Teoscar Hernandez is our Los Angeles Dodgers representative. I fell in love with Teo when I saw a video in spring training, Dodgers spring training, where he was teaching Yamamoto and Ohtani Spanish. And he has great energy. He seems like a glue guy, even as a new member of that team. I mean, there's a lot of new members of that team this season. So I think that's what's allowed him to step up and bring teammates from all stages and walks of life together. He's that dude. Now, Cardinals fans, do not think I forgot about our reserve vibes guy in left field. It's got to be Lars Nootbaar. Lars Nootbaar of the St. Louis Cardinals is the ultimate hype man for his teammates. And he's the number one guy that I can say is that dude. And that is why he has to be on the All Vibes All-Star team. And for as goofy as he is, having fun, cheering in the dugout, coming up with the latest rally move, the pepper grinder, the whatever, he's doing it all. He is also extremely disciplined at the plate. He is clearly a very hard worker. He has not let any of the success and exposure that he's found in Japan go to his head or change like how down to earth he is and the kind of teammate that he is. And that's why he's an all vibes all-star. Moving on to the catcher position, our starter, I got to go with another Cardinals player because if you have been watching the Cardinals lately, you know that the all vibes catcher is Wilson Contreras. Wilson brings serious energy and heart to a team. He is the guy that you want in your corner in any fight. He is fiercely competitive. He is candid, yet thoughtful, kind, and considerate all at the same time. Like, I don't know how that guy who shows that fire and clearly, like, there are times where in this, the Cardinals just played the Cubs over this weekend and he got a little overzealous and he tried to take an extra base on his first hit against Kyle Hendricks, who is the pitcher that he has started with the most, or they're like the most common battery, I think, for each other, I think. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, they've started a ton of times together, had, worked very closely as teammates for many years on the Cubs, and he had never faced him as a batter, as an opposing batter. And this was the first time he got a hit. He tried to take an extra base. He got thrown out. He definitely has that like extra edge and fire sometimes that, again, could almost come off as cocky. But then anytime you hear him talk and the way that he carries himself in situations like that media frenzy with the Cardinals around his playing time last season, he has handled stuff like that with more grace than I could ever imagine. Like, if you had asked me what is the best way someone could have handled this, I wouldn't have even been able to come up with as well of a way as he handled it. He's the all vibes starting catcher for the National League. Reserve has got to be the chief vibes officer, Garrett Stubbs of the Philadelphia Phillies. He was named the chief vibes officer by his teammates, I believe in 2023. Maybe in 2022? Actually, I feel like it started in 2022. Anyway, I read it. I read a fan article that called him dopamine given corporeal form in pinstripe overalls, tasked with keeping the team loose in the face of pressure. He makes the most of his backup catcher role by being impactful on and off the field with his attitude and the way he supports his teammates. And he does. He is the chief vibes officer, and any guy who will wear those pinstripe Phillies overalls, again, mad respect, clearly bring in the vibes. Let's talk about our all vibes starting pitcher for the National League. And this is our Cubs representative, Shota Imanaga. How much fun is this guy? He is too much fun. Go consume Shota Imanaga content. We're almost done with this episode, and as soon as it's over, I want you to go consume all the Shota Imanaga content that you can find on the internet. He sang Go Cubs Go in the presser announcing his signing with the Cubs, even though he does not speak a word of English. When he was asked what he was thinking about during a very specific pitch in question during like a high stakes moment in a game, he candidly said that he was thinking about how hungry he was and what he was going to eat after the game. I am obsessed with how candid and like amazingly likable he is. He is so real, and he has a clear passion for the game and for life that is so fun to see. I love the emotion that he shows on the mound. High vibes. He's our all vibes starting pitcher. Our reserve starting pitcher here is Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers. Listen, the Brewers are another team like the Orioles. I actually believe that Brewers and Orioles have similar vibes. I do believe that the Brewers are that high on vibes and that the vibes are contributing heavily to their success. Their manager, Pat Murphy, big vibes guy. Shout out Pat Murphy. But Freddie Peralta is the clear leader of a vibes-heavy team. He has stepped up in a big way when the team needed him most, and he has thrived and had one of his better seasons, I believe, on paper. Again, I'm not here to talk about that today, but the vibes are certainly some of the highest they've ever been, even with pieces of his team being taken away and, you know, the culture around that really shifting. Like, he's still the guy that he is and has been a really impactful part of that team, both statistically and even more so, I believe, in the vibes that he brings. Let's talk about some relief pitchers that are bringing the vibes in the National League. First and foremost, Brent Suter is our Cincinnati Reds rep. Did you know that Brent wrote a children's book? It is titled The Binky Bandit. I'm obsessed. I need to go read it right now. It was released in June of 2022. I'm that alone. Just, you might as well call it vibes. Call the children's book vibes. I love you, Brent Suter. He also just seems like truly the nicest, most down-to-earth guy. If you've ever heard an interview with him, like a true team player. Our reserve vibes relief pitcher for the National League is St. Louis Cardinal Joe Romero. Now, if you're a Cardinals fan, even if you're not, I think you know that JoJo is a vibe. He crushed a Red Bull coming into a game out of the bullpen when he was with the Phillies. It is now a legendary gif. He was given the nickname JoJo in Little League, and it stuck ever since. He now uses it as a professional big leaguer. He rides an electric scooter to the ballpark. I rest my case. Our DH vibes guy is Jorge Soler, our San Francisco Giants representative. Jorge was first scouted in Cuba when he was just 6 years old because of his size and ability to bat. He enrolled in a sports academy when he was 12, and later he defected from Cuba when he was 18 to chase his dreams of being a Major League Baseball player. Jorge is also a guy who has many tattoos. He says the first tattoo that he ever got was his mom's name along with some sunflowers, which were her favorite flower. He was in America when he got it, and she was still in Cuba, so he sent her a picture, and obviously she absolutely loved it. We love a mama's boy. Jorge Soler is also like, he has a beautiful, super cute family. He's very deeply involved with charitable work and his foundation, Solar Power, which I just think is a very clever name, and they do a lot of amazing things. Our reserve vibes DH here for the National League, you know, we got to get a Colorado Rockies rep in, right? It's Charlie Blackmon. Here is, listen, if you've watched Charlie Blackmon play baseball, like, I don't need to tell you that he brings the vibes. But here's one thing you might not have known about Charlie Blackmon that Again, just spells, like, look up vibes in the dictionary. In 2016, Denver 7 local news channel reported that Blackman, despite his major league salary, was driving the same 2004 Jeep Cherokee to spring training every day that he drove to school every morning as a high school senior. Mic drop. Charlie Blackman, I'm obsessed with you. I do want to give a little shout out to the managers that have been selected to the All Vibes All-Star team. Skip Schumacher, currently the manager for the Miami Marlins, is the All Vibes All-Star manager for the National League, and Ron Washington, Los Angeles Angels manager for the All Vibes All-Star team. I particularly wanted to select these guys because these are two managers that need to be working for teams who have ownership that prioritizes vibes, because Skip Schumacher did a lot to bring the vibes, and then they were just like, no, we don't want to win, we just want to hoard money. So they took all the vibes from him, and he's still man, I'm excited to see what Skip's going to do when he gets under some ownership and with a team that lets him prioritize vibes. And the same with Ron Washington. Already hook a guy up. Come on. Look at what Ron can do with some vibes. Okay, to wrap up today's episode, I wanted to touch on the All-Star Celebrity Softball game, because this is a game that is a part of All-Star Week, but I barely knew that it was this year because it happened on Saturday night when there was still Major League Baseball games going on. So the All-Star break had not even started, and the All-Star Celebrity Softball game was happening, and it was not on television. It was not being televised. Okay, here's the thing. I know half of you are going to be like, it's fine that it wasn't televised because I didn't want to watch it. I didn't know anybody who's in it. That's the other problem. I understand that for a number of reasons, it might be hard to get people to participate in these kinds of things, but let's figure out a way to make it more enticing and more fun and more worth people's while, because how freaking fun would it be? I'm just going to list some of these people that I asked you on social media. A lot of you gave me some fun responses, and these were some of them that I think are great suggestions for who we would love to see out there. This is not a competitive baseball game. These are not people who need to be remotely athletic. Maybe a little bit enough, that they're not going to get hurt. But I want to see Jack Black play on the All-Star Celebrity Softball team. I want to see Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso vibes out there for the All-Star Celebrity Softball team. Somebody said Leslie Jones. She would love to. I'm sure she would do it. Have you asked her, MLB? Danny DeVito. I need it. I need it. Danny DeVito in the All-Star Celebrity Softball game. Jason Kelsey and Cam Newton from the NFL. Let's go. Nick Swisher, retired baseball player. I met him last summer in London. I'm sure he would be into this. Pink is who she's my pick. That's who I want to see in the All-Star Celebrity Softball game. Clearly very strong, very athletic, outgoing. She would have a hell of a time with it. Nelly, huge baseball fan, repping the St. Louis Cardinals all the time. Get him out there. And another celebrity who's a huge baseball fan is Jason Bateman. It might take a lot to get him to do it. He seems a little curmudgeon-y, but I think if you were like, yeah, you can wear a Dodgers uniform and play in the All-Star Celebrity Softball game, come on. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. He would totally do it. I also thought it would be cool to see some significant others out there of Major League Baseball players. We've got Livy Dunn, who's very much in the public eye now, Paul Skeen's girlfriend. Vanessa Hudgens, who's Cole Tucker's wife. I know she just had a baby, but, another time. Kate Upton, who's supermodel Justin Verlander's wife. Mallory Swanson, who's a professional soccer player. I know she's getting ready to go to the Olympics. But again, I'm not saying this year. Some other time. It's not going to work for them every year. But that would be really fun to see some spouses of players. And if nothing else, I think we should make actors from baseball movies. So all the kids from The Sandlot, Brad Pitt from Moneyball. Maybe if you were in a baseball movie, you should have to be in the All-Star Celebrity Softball game, because you've made money off of the game of baseball by, being in a movie that's about baseball. So now you got to give back to the baseball community playing the All-Star Celebrity Softball game. I like it. So send me the players that you want to see, the celebrity players that you want to see, because we're just going to gather them all and send our selections, send our ideas to Major League Baseball and step up the all-star celebrity team. I need some more hype and excitement around this. It's a great opportunity to grow excitement around the game. Let's wrap up for today because we built that all vibes all-star roster and my dogs just won't shut up. They couldn't keep their mouths closed for one more moment. They're trying to tell me that the home run derby is getting ready to start, so I gotta go. I am sending you and your favorite players all the best vibes as we head into the true dog days of summer. I will see you next week for more peace, love, and bark, bark, woof, woof, baseball.